But I'm not getting all cranky at these damn kids and their Minecrafting. I like to answer questions that I get on YouTube, so let's get to it. Sean, awesome videos, really interested in your masterclass. Question, maybe I missed it somewhere in your channel, but I'm confused on when I can input major 7, major 6, dominant chords, list goes on, any chord past a major or minor, in the place of a regular old chord scale progression. It seems like major 7 can go anywhere a major chord goes. What about extended chords like 11ths and 13ths? Just need more of a solid roadmap for that stuff. Great question. So just to break it down real quick, the triads in a chord scale, that just means the 3-note major minor chords in any chord. Like if you do the key of C, we've got C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B some kind of diminished and back to C, right? Those are just kind of the basic building blocks of any chord progression. And something that really fascinated me and something I talk about a lot in these videos is like using major 7 chords, dominant 7 chord, or minor 7 chords, minor 9 chords, so on and so forth, right? Now one resource that really helped me is this website I'm going to link you to. It's guitar.ch. They've got this really cool chord formula sheet. It has a list of literally every single chord, how to play those chords, and where those chords go. So I'm going to link that, but I also kind of want to explain how this works, right? So we have the name of the chord on the left. So the very first one is a 5, or a power chord. And then after that, it's going to tell you the intervals contained in that. So the way to read that is it's going to spell the chord. And the way that all chords are spelled are the notes in the major scale that that chord contains. So for a power chord, it just says 1 and a 5, right? What that means, if you know, like let's start with an A, right? If we have an A, just like that, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We would just take the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have the 1 and the 5, okay? So those are the notes in that chord, just a 1 and a 5, all right? Now some of these can go on and on, like a 7 suspended 4 or something. In that case, we'd have a 1, a 4, a 5, and a flat 7, right? Now, it's one thing to know how to spell a chord, the notes that go in a chord, but I think the more interesting thing is, the thing that I was more interested in is how they would fit in a chord progression. So that's where they have the scale degree intervals listed on the far right, okay? So first it just goes through the major scale, and especially for major and minor, they're essentially the same things, just kind of in a different order. So like that power chord at the very beginning, it goes on intervals 1 through 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any of those notes can become power chords. Some of them get a little more interesting, like a suspended 2 chord, only the 1, the 2, and the 5. So an A sus 2, a 1, a 2, and a 5. You can see right here, that goes on, you can put that on a 1 chord, a 2 chord, a 4 chord, a 5 chord, or a 6 chord, right? That's why it's super important to learn your scale degrees, which is really easy, just learning a shape, that major scale shape, do it in any key. And then the great thing about that is, you can get into more complicated stuff, like major minor 7 chords or stuff like that, that don't even exist diatonically in the major scale. So they also have like the harmonic mode and like the melodic minor thing that you can kind of like use to. So super helpful resource. Definitely check that out. I'm sure there's probably apps and maybe other websites that do it. I think this does it in a very well organized way, so check that out. Let me know what you think. Dude, you really do suck. You talk and play fast. I have to set the play mode to drunk speed. You drive me ape bananas. It's like being in a bar with mechanical engineers on a Thursday night, desperately hoping for an Uber ride is right around the corner to take you home. Very oddly specific scenario that you just described there, and related to watching a guitar instructional video. So, you know, I personally side with the mechanical engineers because they're probably talking about super smart stuff that was just way over your head, Salty Blues commenter. Your new fingerstyle masterclass is awesome. I just got to the song lessons. It's so fun and the explanations are so clear and concise. The chords on that Emerald Rider songs look really interesting. Maybe you can teach us those on a video someday. I love my Sennheisers. Congratulations on your new headphones. Hook those up to a great DAP like the Philo M11 and you'll be loving life. So this is in response to an Instagram post / Sennheiser headphone review I did where I posted some of the new Emerald Rider stuff. And yeah, thank you for noticing. I definitely try to make those chord progressions as interesting as possible. Definitely, Emerald Riders is coming soon, people. I hope you're all ready for the greatest Celtic album to have been released in the last 100 years, because there's some hot fire going down on there. So definitely look forward to those two. I don't know if you really want lessons. Let me know if you want lessons once the songs come up, because I'm happy to teach them, but maybe it's better having some of the Celtic mystery remain. If you were a tree, what tree would you be? You could offer a masterclass in looking like a deadbeat uncle. I'm not sure what the deadbeat uncle of trees would be, but I think I would probably be some kind of disheveled palm tree. So something that's not like a royal or like a king palm, something that's like trying really hard but can't quite get there. So whatever the most disheveled palm tree is, maybe some of you arborists could let me know a little more detail of what I'm trying to say here. I'm from the UK, so please stop talking and get on with it, jeez. From the UK. That should be a new thing. Anytime you're gonna try to like slam me, make sure you tell me where you're from first, just so I have a great frame of reference in it. And I guess maybe like UK people's time is more valuable, so get on with it. This video sounds like hipster Mr. Rogers. And the hits keep coming. Actually, I think hipster Mr. Rogers is probably pretty cool, so I'll take that as an absolute comment. Anyone serious about Zepp knows that what made Jim great was that he played at the edge of his ability. There were no modes for him. That's when these guys play it is boring, and when someone playing at the edge is so captivating. I'd ignore this video if you're interested in thrilling people with your guitar playing. Had to roll back another Salty Blues comment. First of all, if you're referring to Jimmy Page as Jim, you instantly disqualify yourself from any opinions on Led Zeppelin. Jim, Rob, old Bobby and Jim and Johnny. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And as far as like playing at the edge of your abilities, I mean, you're really just embarrassing yourself, sir. I'm sorry. Hey Sean, have you ever done a gig with a jam band? I'm not very good at playing songs, but I'm pretty good at improvisation. Wondering if there are many gigs out there for people who just improvise background music for an audience at gigs. Yeah, so the gig scene is different from town to town. I've done a couple jam band-ish gigs. I remember I played with Dovydas, another ridiculous YouTuber. Definitely check his channel out. I'll link that in the description. At a show a few weeks ago. And he doesn't have a set list. He just kind of goes and just makes stuff up on the fly. So while it's not really jam band stuff, he does kind of try to make them into songs. It's definitely way different than my usual thing. Because I usually just do songs, right? And we'll do a lot of requests, but it isn't a lot of jamming. I would love to be paid to just go out and like jam and stuff, but I do think that there's much less of a market out there. Not that there's no market, but the market is a lot smaller, and I think that one is probably more reliant on tips than actually getting paid like a fee to like gig and stuff. So that's just from my own experience in the places that I've lived in, but as I can tell you 100%, like the city that you live in really determines the type of music scene that is out there. So I've done a few gigs where they're just more instrumental type things, where I can kind of loop things and play stuff, but those really get offered fewer and farther between than the singing gigs. However, the one thing that I will say is, regardless of what type of show that you're gonna put on, you just need to get out there in the scene and just be professional and have a good attitude and have a good personality, because at this point I just know a lot of venue owners and I feel like I'm kind of well liked, so I can really call them up and be like, hey, do you mind if I do this? And they'll usually be pretty receptive to it. Like if I really wanted to do a jam band gig, I feel like I've just been around the scene long enough and I know like a lot of, and I have great relationships with venue owners that I could make that happen if that's what I wanted to do. So again, it's not about, I think really it's just more about what you want to do. So if you really want to just do improvisational jam band stuff, just go out there, get yourself ingratiated in the scene, be professional, and then just kind of create your own opportunities instead of trying to like fit a show into the existing opportunities, if that makes sense. So for listening homework this week, I'm going to throw you to some classic St. Vincent, because I was just rocking to some St. Vincent the other day, some of the old school stuff, and I love Annie Clark. I'm trying to win her heart, as unlikely as that is. If anybody has any suggestions on how to do that, help a brother out. I'm trying my best out here. And check that out. Also, check out the new podcast I did with my buddy Justin. That's finally on like iTunes and Stitcher. Don't know who uses Stitcher, but it's on there. So check that out. All the links are in the description. Let me know what you think in the comment section, Instagram, Twitter, the website. I'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks a lot.